business model was to repurpose oil pipe and sell it into the construction industry. That was always what it was that we were setting out to do. So going all the way back 45 years, I think my stepfather's father lent him some money to buy some pipe with, and that's where they started from. So back in the day, we were on Teesside with maybe only a few hundred tons of pipe. Now we're at North Yorkshire with 75,000 tons of pipe that we've got in the yard on over 100 acres. And the business model has always been to take downgrade second-hand surplus pipe that would otherwise go to scrap and to find another application for it. So our pipes get used in construction, they get used in engineering, basically in almost all applications that aren't pipeline. So the repurposing aspect comes in there. It's very unusual that we sell anything into the oil industry because the material has in some way or other been downgraded from that application. We now do 12 to 15,000 tons of sales a year, and we've become much more proficient in processing and basically improving the pipe or adding value. So we do cutting, welding, painting, testing is very important with the reuse. But in fact, in terms of the sustainability credentials, the history of our company has this strewn throughout. Now, I would argue that's because it's our own money. So in fact, historically, circular economy sustainability has helped save money. So one of the projects I did, oh crikey, 20 years ago, we bought the crane system from one side of the French side of the Channel Tunnel. So when the Channel Tunnel was finished, the stockyard was dismantled, there was a gantry and crane system. We bought that, shipped it to Germany, adapted it, made a warehouse out of it, saved us a lot of money and created a perfectly good facility. 3 years ago, I bought a 12,000 square metre portal frame, warehouse frame from auction. That was 8 or 9 years old from a cancelled job, and we reworked that, reprocessed that, and again put that back up, and it's like a brand new building now. Some of it is new, the cladding and things are new, but the frame itself was reclaimed, diverted from scrap basically. Other things we did on that building and have done historically, we use an awful lot of road planings, which are materials recovered when roads are resurfaced, and we use those for our site roads and building sub-bases, which means we don't have to get new quarried stone, when in some cases new concrete. So we have practiced circular economy for longer than the expression has existed. In terms of specific sustainability, circular economy activity, back in 2012, there was some new legislation came in for CE marking, which is basically it's perceived as a quality stamp, but really it's offering products consistently throughout the EU. And there was a huge problem coming in steelwork because it looked as if CE marking was going to prevent the use of anything that wasn't brand new material made to brand new standards. So I started lobbying in 2011 to do with steel reuse and sustainability. Now, I was doing it to protect our business, because if we weren't allowed to sell our materials to people in construction because they were going to be not permitted to use them according to the international or the European standards, that clearly wasn't acceptable. So in doing the lobbying there, I realised the synergies between what we were doing and the sustainability and circular economy movement. So I now work quite closely with the UK Green Building Council, with the British Construction Steelwork Association's initiatives on sustainability, the ASBP, the Alliance of Sustainable Building Products. And essentially, I've brought our practical expertise into these arenas so that we can help shape policy and practice going forward. And it's changed quite a bit. It's gone from 10, 12 years ago, where it was purely academic. It was all to do with papers from Cambridge University and the like, to sort of the last couple of years where I've been involved with quite a few projects just to advise them, to the point where this year now we're actually seeing inquiries for material based on its carbon and sustainability credentials, and that's been slow to develop. We started putting potential carbon savings on our sales order acknowledgements and invoices so that clients would know what carbon they could have saved by buying our material instead of new. And in fact, we've been doing that certainly for 2 years, but we still yet have to have a client that comes back and physically questions the numbers. And when I say question, it's a broad estimate that we issue. So we ask them to come back and ask us to calculate it specifically to their project. And one of the issues that we're seeing now is that we've got big projects, thousands of tons sometimes, with thousands and thousands of tons of carbon saving, but the end client doesn't want to let people know that it was second-hand or repurposed material that was used on their project, which is insane, because the material all has to satisfy the appropriate regulations, and the project has to meet building regs, which it all does. We're able to retest and recertify our material to demonstrate its fitness for purpose. So you would expect they should really now be pushing the sustainability story. This year now, we're starting to see a couple of bigger players in the construction industry starting to want to have reused materials in their buildings. They're wanting to manage their waste streams, and they're wanting to promote the fact that they're doing so. So I'm working on a couple of jobs now down in London. What that's meant is that we've moved forward from just being a pipe stockist, that we're trying to now establish inventory of steel sections to offer complementary offering to our pipe. There's a lot more people use sections, so we're trying to establish a supply chain to get material from demolition guys or from surpluses from construction companies themselves or fabricators, and we'll hold that inventory and then offer it back to people who need it in the circular economy fashion, basically. Not proving straightforward at the moment, but COVID has sort of kiboshed the last 12 months' efforts because we can't get onto site and physically see what's going on. And that's a problem in its own right at the moment, because in terms of rediverting waste streams, you've got to make sure what you're buying isn't absolute waste and total rubbish. It has to have something about it that will allow it to have a second life or be recovered or repurposed. I'm optimistic we should be able to achieve an inventory and achieve some sales. The strange thing with sections is we had a business that was doing this, and we started it in 2000. And by 2012, when the new regulations came in, the industry refused to accept that type of product. So that Beams business has actually migrated away from reused product and just sells new now. So it's ironic that 20 odd years after we started it, we're now trying to get it back to where we physically started from. But we're seeing an appetite from the client, so hopefully the demand will cause the supply to grow, and that's what we need to see.